Welcome to the Dental 18 podcast. I'm your host, Kiera Dent, and I have this crazy idea that maybe I could combine a doctor and a team member's perspective because let's face it, dentistry can be a challenging profession with those two perspectives. I've been a dental assistant, treatment coordinator, scheduler, biller, office manager, regional manager, practice owner, and I have a team of traveling consultants where we have traveled to over 165 different offices coaching teams. Yep, we don't just understand you, we are you. Our mission is to positively impact the world of dental, and I believe that this podcast is the greatest way I can help elevate teams, grow VIP experiences, reduce stress, and create A-teams. Welcome to the Dental 18 podcast. Hello, Dental 18 listeners. This is Kiera, and you guys. All right, let's talk money, shall we? I know that things are crazy right now. I know that things feel wild. I know that there are things that came at us out of nowhere. We were just cruising along and then all of a sudden we got hit by a tidal wave. So I want to actually give you guys some tips. These are things I personally do. I am not a financial advisor. I do not claim to be. I feel like I am a really good student of a lot of way smarter people than I am. And I realize that a lot of people can actually be doing this right now. It sounds so silly, but I do believe that when there is no income or there's little income, this is when we get to innovate, we get to create. So I actually have a client right now. She laid off all of her employees. She's not making any money right now. And we are actually working on profit first. It sounds ridiculous. And I feel silly telling you guys this. However, I will tell you, in the times when I was in grad school, when I actually had zero money to my name, we were so poor. We sold our truck. We were in student loans. We both rode bicycles to school every day. We slept on popsicles. We were in Arizona because it was too expensive to run the AC. I literally scoured the ads for coupons for cheaper food. It used to be when you could price match, I would take in the whole slew of ads to Walmart and I would price match all of our food to save us money. It was such a humbling time in my life. And that was actually when I learned to do Profit First. I had never heard of Profit First. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, go snag Profit First. It's one of my favorite books. It's such a fantastic one. And it's by Mike McCallowicks. I don't know how to say his last name. So, great, fantastic. But what he talks about in Profit First is how we actually create buckets, and these buckets are for our income. So what I'll tell you guys is what I did in grad school, and it's something that I still currently do. Like I said, I am no financial advisor. I'm just Kiera Dent from the block, and this is what I've done. I've talked to a lot of different dentists, a lot of team members, a lot of my coaches do the same thing. So I wanted to share that with you today. So with Profit First, the idea is, I loved one of his analogies he said in the book. And what he said in there was that if we actually get a small plate, we tend to eat less food. Whereas if we get a big plate, we eat more food. And so it's a similar thing in our bank accounts. So when our bank accounts have a lot of cash in there, we feel rich. We feel like we can go buy things. When we skimp it down to nothing, we have that, I don't want to say panic mentality, but we're definitely not as frivolous with our funds as we would be. And so I will tell you guys my personal philosophy. I don't believe in credit card debt. I think that there's a time and a place, but I try really hard to live within my means and to make sure that we're not living in debt. I feel like there's a lot of things I can cut. There's sacrifices I might need to make, and that just makes me a better person. So again, this is my philosophy. Take the bits and pieces that resonate with you. I don't think it's right or wrong. I don't think there's any right or wrong. This is just where we get to share best ideas. And if you guys have ideas, I would love to hear your ideas as well, because you'll probably make me a better person as well. So please don't take this as gospel. Take this is what Kiera Dent does. This is the best of my knowledge today. And I'm going to share it with you. And then again, this is the time for us to share. So if you have ideas that you want to share, please send them back in. Now it sounds wild to be doing this. However, again, I would set this up now. I have a client. We're setting this up right now for her. So basically what I did in college was I realized that if I had more money in my bank account, I thought we could go to dinner. However, that money was actually being saved for rent. It was being saved for utilities. But hey, we had so much money in our bank account. So then we went and spent it, and then there wasn't cash at the end of the month. So what I started to do is I actually there's YNAB, you need a budget. That was a really good tool that I used at the very beginning. And we kind of allocated out. So what I do is I sit down at the kitchen table, literally I grab a pen and paper and I write down all of my actual expenses, the things that I have to pay for. So my rent, my car payment, my utilities, my internet, my cell phone, things that won't go away, health insurance, those things don't go away. So put those are like as a business, it's your fixed expenses for yourself personally. You can also do this for your business. Then you write down what your income is. So let's say, for example, we have $1,000 worth of expenses. Yes, I'm using really easy math so everybody can comprehend. I do not think that this is probably your life. Don't worry. So let's say we have expenses $1,000 a month. This does not include like going out to eat, shopping, any of those types of things. These are the fixed costs, things that will not go away. Okay, so let's say there's $1,000 worth of that. Well, then let's say we make $2,000 a month. Okay, great. So the $1,000 expenses, we're going to take that $2,000, that's what we make, subtract our fixed costs. That's going to leave us with $1,000 right there. Okay, so we have $1,000 of excess on this month. Again, it could be that maybe you make $2,000 and your expenses are $1,800. Well, if that's the case, you have $200 of excess. What you want to do is you want to look at those fixed costs and make sure they're as low as possible. This sounds so ridiculous, but Jason, I give him mass credit because I hate doing this and he's so good at it. Jason will review our credit cards almost, I'd say every month, if not every month, every other month. And he looks for little charges that we're being nickeled and dimed on that we don't think about, AKA Amazon Music or Apple Music. I used to pay $9.99 a month. That was only $10, you guys. It's really not a big deal. Over the course of a year, it's only $120. However, Jason was also paying for Spotify. Well, had we paid $2 more for Spotify, that's going to save us a total of almost $8. So if we cancel my Apple subscription, add $2 to his Spotify that he's already paying for, we just got a family account. That saves us $8 a month. Now, again, do I really think $8, we're talking like $80 a year? It's really not that great of a savings. However, it's the mindset and the principle of doing this becomes a behavior. They're saying that there's only a few ways for us to actually make more income, and rich people actually don't spend more, they save more. And that doesn't mean you're living a less glamorous life. It just means that you are become masterful at this. And I remember, you guys, I dated this dumb guy. And I remember he told me, he was like, Kiera, just get a line of credit. Then you can buy more things, get advances on your paycheck. And I was like, who am I? And it's not that if you're doing that, you're wrong or you're dumb. It's just saying that that's stressful. That's a stressful life. And there are ways that we could actually get, we don't have to live on that. Again, it's not always the case for everyone. Sometimes we do need to use debt. There is some healthy debt out there. There are times that I've had to use my family. In college, my mom had to bail me out because I had a car and I couldn't afford it. There are times that happens. So I'm not saying that there's any judgment. Let's just start with where you are today and let's figure out what you can do. So let's say you have that $1,000 left over. Well, from there, I actually allocate out amounts for money because I know we'll have date money. I do love to shop, you guys. I love to shop. I love to buy shoes. You should look at my closet. I have a lot of shoes. It's been my arch nemesis since I was little. I remember my 8th grade high school speech was actually about shoes. And I remember my favorite line in there was, and I bought shoes, and more shoes. That was like a line I actually got to put in the speech, and I won the speech contest. But this is something that I found that I actually allocate out. If I know I'm going to spend X amount of money on shoes and going out and dates, we need to actually account for that. And don't go really small and don't go really lavish. Just put a healthy amount in there. So once I get all that broken down of what I'd like it to be, then I look to see how much money will be left at the end of the month. For me, I personally try to put so much away into savings every single month. Now, when we were in college, I was putting us away probably $20 to $100 a month. That's all I could afford at the time. That's it. Now, I try to put away a healthier amount than that in there. But the point is, start small and start where you are. How would it be if you had somebody who could literally look beyond your circumstances right now, that could give you strategy, that could see where you needed to go and direct and guide you? That is literally the definition of a coach. And right now, I firmly believe that we are a nation that needs coaching, that needs direction, that needs strategy. So at the Dental Aid team, we put together strategy coaching calls for you. So go snag them. Please, please, please don't get behind right now. Don't fall off the bandwagon. Don't live in fear. Let a coach help guide you. You guys, this is what we do on the daily. So please, I dropped these prices to the lowest so that way you guys could maximize us. Use us, text us, call us, email us. That way you have a coach in your pocket for strategy. In addition to that, 50% off of all Dental Aid team products. Every single one of them is 50% off, so you can utilize that distance learning and the extra time that you've been gifted. Last but not least, join us for our webinars every Tuesday and Thursday, where we're getting an amazing lineup of speakers to give you tactical tips right now that you can use. You guys, now's the time. What are you going to do with it? Jump on over to www.thedentalateam.com/strategy and snag your strategy right now. Ryan Isaac and I chatted about this on a podcast a while ago. And this was something I learned way later on in life. I wish I would have learned sooner. But I now transfer money out automatically into a separate bank account. So my paychecks come into my main bank account. That's where I pay my bills, pay my credit cards off. And then I actually transfer money automatically. It's on set increments because I know when I'm going to get paid. Dentists who are owners, I actually pay myself as a business owner X amount of dollars on through payroll. And that's actually what I pull. So we live off of my husband's salary. And then I pull money out every single month. That's my paycheck. So I know when it's going to come. Now, if you're a single parent, you're a single income. When I was in college and I had a single income, I would still pull X amount. I looked to see what I could do. The idea is to get you down to the bare bones minimum of how much you actually need to live on and not really be lavish. That doesn't mean we're like cutting out your social life. I still put in money for shoes, you guys. So I'm still not scrimping. However, I am looking for that. So once you have that dialed in, then I set up another bank account and I actually pull out X amount of dollars every single month. It was like a tragedy for me growing up when I had to transfer money into a savings account. I hated it. I hated to see that money go out of my account and I just didn't want to do it. So if I have an automated one, I never see it. It goes into a separate bank account that's not in my main one. It goes to another one. So let me break this down in actual tactical terms so you can understand. I have my paycheck come into Mountain America Credit Union. That is my banking company. I go with credit unions. I like them better than banks. That's my own personal preference. Okay. I know I get paid, let's say, for example, on the 15th and the 30th of every single month. I have it automated. So on the 17th and the 2nd of every month, so I do a 2-day lag just in case anything happens. It is automated. And currently I'm using ally.com, ALLY.com. You can use HSBC, Capital One 360. Just look for your highest yield interest rate. That's what we're looking for. These are higher yield interest rates on savings accounts. I then have And what I do is I actually break it up into 4 buckets. So for me, I have a house savings because I want to buy a house and I want to have money for that. I have an investment fund. I have a taxes fund, and I have a dream or a travel fund. You can make up however many you want. I also have a medical fund, so you can have whatever you want. What I do is on my paper, I realize, okay, I have $1,000. How of that 1,000, realistically, I probably could save 700 of that because I want to give myself a $300 buffer so I don't go over. Maybe I'll have some extra expenses. I think realistically, or maybe like I'm going to do 500 because I don't want to go over. You don't want to bounce in your checking account because Ally takes 3 days for money to transfer there, 3 days for money to transfer back. So it's still liquidable, just not as liquidable. So what I do is, let's say I'm going to do $50 every month is going to go to medical. Well, I'm going to break that down and I'm going to say $25 is going to come out on the 17th of the month and $25 is going to come out on the 2nd. It's an auto draft out of my checking account straight into ally.com into the medical. So it auto removes on the 17th and the 2nd every single month. No matter what, it will automatically pull that money until I tell it to stop. I personally don't just pull a chunk. I don't say like $500 into ally.com. I like to build little bank accounts. So over in ally.com, like I said, you've got your house savings fund, your investment fund, your dream fund, your travel fund, your medical fund. I think I have about 6 funds over there. We used to have my husband's loans. When we were paying those off, I had money sitting there. Then I was like, that's stupid. I should be paying that. So anyway, you figure out what you want those funds to be. They can change. They can morph. The goal is just to get you set up on this. So then $50 goes to medical. My travel fund, let's say we have $500 that we're going to do. So we've just spent $50 of that $500. We now have $450 left. So of that $450, well, I like to travel, so I'm going to give myself, I'm going to do $100. So that was going to drop me down to $350. So then I'm going to deposit $50 each check because together those would make $100 a month and I only have $450 a month. We're doing it a month. So you got to split that up into 2 payments or you can have it pulled once. I personally like it to pull every time I get a paycheck in there. That way it doesn't sit there and I don't think I have more money than I really do. Then if I'm going to do investment, I have $350 left over. Let's say investments, I'm going to do $175 and I'm going to do the same thing for my house fund. So that will give me my total of $500 that I can then deposit. It is crazy. Even at $10 or $50 a month, it is wild to see how quickly that bank account will grow for you. So then when I look at my checking account, which is what I assess before I go out and buy more shoes, it looks like I don't have as much money in there. So I'm less likely to spend because I don't have the money in there. I've pulled that money over into ally.com. It's accruing interest for me that's better than a savings account and I can't see it. That's the whole idea behind Profit First. So that's personally how I have it set up. I do the same thing for my business. I just have different funds that I pull it for and different amounts. What I do on my business is I actually pull out X amount off the top or of my profit, that amount goes straight into a savings account. Also, I do pay myself as a consultant. Doctors, you'd pay yourself as an associate. And I also pay myself as if I were like an HR employee. Doctors, same thing. You'd pay yourself as if you were an HR or a manager. The reason I do that is so I can see the profitability of my business without me working in it. So if I ever needed to replace myself in HR or regional manager, I know I have a salary built in. It's my salary. I would just be able to replace that with a person. Also, by paying myself as if I were a consultant in my company, I now can see true profitability to replace myself to where I'm no longer working in the business and the business is still profitable. Doctors, that is a very, very, very different mindset. A lot of doctors don't think like that. A lot of doctors love when I plant that seed and teach you about that. So, team members, set it up for personal, set it up for professional. So when I travel, you guys, I travel a ton. I don't spend more most of the time, not always. Most of the time, I won't spend more than what's actually in my savings travel fund. So when I want to go book a trip, I go pop over into ally.com and I'm like, all right, I've got like $1,000 in here. Where can I go on $1,000? Or if the trip's going to be $1,500, well, maybe I've got to pull out of my house fund. So I can't buy a house as soon. But I'm never going over that amount. It never, ever, ever goes over. Because that I'm actually then living beyond my means. I believe in paying yourself at least 10% of what you make every single month. So let's say you make $2,000, you automatically would be saving $200 every month. That's a mindset I adopted from growing up. That's a religious mindset. It was pay the Lord 10%, pay yourself 10%. So that would be me then living on only 80% of my paycheck. Yes, as a child, it felt like a tragedy. I am so grateful I do that because now I set money aside. I have my emergency funds. I have tax savings funds. I have home savings funds. I have travel funds, and all the money is being pulled automatically. I'm not spending as much on frivolous things. Jason is really good every single month, and I implore all of you to do this, but we go through and the Audible, the Amazon Music, the little nickel and dimesing things. Jason cancels Netflix all the time. So when we're done watching shows, he cancels it until we're ready to watch our next show, because the reality is we're not watching it every day. We'll flip-flop Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime, those different things. We check to make sure those reoccurring charges, we actually cancel those out so we're not paying extra. That sounds so tedious, but has saved us thousands of dollars over the year. Simple switches on your cell phone bills. You could check with different carriers, also on your insurance plans. Those simple fixes, those simple changes really, truly can help save you a lot of money. And it's funny because we're always looking for these leaps and bounds, these huge savings. And it's crazy because the small and simple ones actually equate to so much more. Go back to Atomic Habits. That 1% change can actually help you so much. So I know it sounds silly, but I would suggest setting this up now. You've got time. Call ally.com, look at HSBC, look to see which one's going to have the highest yield interest. Meaning I actually make about 2% on average on everything that's sitting in that savings fund. I want the money there. I need it liquidable, not as liquidable as in my checking account. And I'm going to live off of that. So that's my personal thing. And I wanted to share that with you guys because I didn't know how to set this up. I had no idea. Nobody had ever talked to me about it. And I do believe that saving in hard times is one of the best things you can do. Believe it or not. Yes, people say don't pull money out of the business, Kiera. Don't do those things. I still put money in savings even during hard times when the business looks like it's going to go under. Because for me, it's a ritual. It's a standard. It's something that I live by. I will always put money in savings every single month, even when I feel like I can't. Because who I am today is who I'll be in the future. If I can't save today, I'm not going to be saving in the future. I am that person. So that's what I would suggest you guys do. So read the Profit First book. I think it's really great. Also set up your different bank accounts. I think it's much easier when it goes into a separate account. Before I did that, I used to just have extra savings accounts in my checking account, and that still helps. I do that with my business. So my main operating expense fund is actually at its lowest minimal amount that I can keep it. I pull money into taxes. I pull money into my holdings account for the business. That's where the money sits. So in my operating expense, it still makes me think I have less money. I will tell you guys, when I kept more money in there, I was buying Tony Robbins CE and all this extra stuff because I felt like I had the money to do it. When I pulled all that money out of there and I ran on a much leaner operating cash flow, holy moly, I've cut the spending that's excess spending that really I didn't need to do. I set up a fund for CE this year. I set up a fund for the things for my computer expense. All these little things, I actually just build little funds so that way when the time comes, I have the money set aside, ready to go. It doesn't impact my business. So if you guys want more help with this, feel free to email me. I walked through a lot of clients on this. I'll draw it out for you if it's hard to follow on a podcast. I'm really happy to help you because I believe right now, build the rituals that you want to be. Build your standards of who you want to be, your future self, and start doing it today. Someday's not going to happen. Today's going to happen. So I challenge you guys to do that. I implore you. I invite you. Email us hello@thedentalteam.com if you want more help. Go snag the book, Profit First. It's fantastic. It really helps just change your mind, and then you become a different person. And then saving money becomes easier and a joy. And it's really fun to then see how much money I have in travel when I want to do a cool trip. And it doesn't hurt my business or my personal expenses because I've saved that money for it. All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining me. I'll catch you next time on the Dental Team Podcast.
And that wraps it up for another episode of the Dental Team Podcast. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll talk to you next time.